I left the secret garden at home yesterday, so I'm sorry we didn't have story time, but I thought we'd catch up today. So if you remember, Mary had come from India. She was living in her uncle's house, and she'd found the secret garden, and it was the robin who helped her find the key. So we ended it with Mary having spent some time outside. Dickon had helped her, and she came back in. Okay. So Mary took the picture back to the house when she went to her supper. Said Martha, that's there a picture of Missel Thrush on her nest. Then Mary knew Dickon would keep her secret, and she fell asleep looking forward to the morning. But she was awakened in the night by the rain beating against her window, and the wind wuthering round the huge old house. Suddenly, something made her sit up. That isn't the wind. There was a candle by her bedside, and she took it up and went softly out of the room. The far-off, faint crying led her. Was this the right corner? Yes, there was the tapestry door. She pushed it open very gently and closed it behind her. A few yards further on, there was a door. She could see a glimmer of light coming from beneath it, so she walked to the door and pushed it open. There was a night light burning by the side of a carved four-poster bed hung with brocade, and on the bed was lying a boy, crying fretfully. The boy had a sharp, delicate face, the colour of ivory. Mary stood near the door with her candle in her hand, and he turned his head on his pillow and stared at her. So if his face was the colour of ivory, what might that tell you about him? Do you think he's outside running around? Do you think he maybe stays in this bed? Why is he making that funny noise? Let's find out. Who are you? He said in a half-frightened whisper. Are you a ghost? No, I am not, Mary answered. Are you one? No, he replied. I am Colin Craven. Who are you? I am Mary Lennox. Mr. Craven is my uncle. He is my father. Your father? No one ever told me he had a boy. The servants are not allowed to speak about me. If I live, I may be a hunchback, but I shan't live. My father hates to think I may be like him. Have you been locked up? No. I stay in this room because I don't want to be moved. It tires me too much. Does your father come and see you? Sometimes. Generally when I'm asleep. He doesn't want to see me. Why? My mother died when I was born, and it makes him wretched to look at me. He thinks I don't know, but I've heard people talking. Have you been here always? Nearly always. I used to wear an iron thing to keep my back straight, but a grand doctor came from London and told them to take it off and keep me out in the fresh air. I hate fresh air, and I don't want to go out. I didn't when I first came here, said Mary. Why do you keep looking at me like that? Because I don't want it to be a dream. If you are real, sit down on that big footstool and talk. I want to hear about you. He made her tell him about India and about her voyage across the ocean. She found out that he could have anything he asked for and was never made to do anything he didn't like to do. It makes me ill to be angry. How old are you? He asked. I'm 10, answered Mary, and so are you. How do you know that? Because when you were born, the garden door was locked and the key was buried, and it hasn't been unlocked for 10 years. What garden door? Where was the key buried? It was the garden Mr. Craven hates. No one knew where he buried the key, was Mary's careful answer. But he asked question after question. Had she never asked the gardeners? They won't talk about it. I would make them, said Colin. If I were to live, this place would sometime belong to me. They all know that. Do you think you won't live? She asked. I don't suppose I shall. Ever since I remember, anything I've heard about says I shan't. Do you want to live? No. Let us talk about something else. The garden. I don't think I ever wanted to see something before, but I want to see that garden. I'm going to make them open the door. Oh, don't do that. You said you wanted to see it. I do, she answered. But if you make them open the door and take you in like that, it will never be secret again. What do you mean? You see, if no one knows but ourselves, if there was a door hidden somewhere under the ivy and we could find it, and if we could slip through it together and shut it behind us, and no one knew anyone was inside, and we called it our garden, and if we played there almost every day and dug and planted seeds and made it all come alive. Is it dead? He interrupted her. It soon will be if no one cares for it. I never had a secret, he said. I'm going to let you look at something. Do you see that silly curtain over there, over the mantelpiece? Go and pull it. Mary got up and pulled the silk curtain back and uncovered a picture of a girl with a laughing face. She's my mother. I don't see why she died. Sometimes I hate her for doing it. Her eyes are just like yours. Why is the curtain drawn over her? I made them do it. Sometimes I don't like to see her looking at me. She smiles too much. Besides, she's mine and I don't want everyone to see her. I'm glad you came. I think you should be a secret too. Martha shall tell you when to come here. Shall I go away now? I wish I could go to sleep before you leave me. Shut your eyes, said Mary. She leaned against the bed and began to sing a very low, long, little chanting song in Hindustani. When she looked up again, he was fast asleep, so she took a candle and crept away.